I think sometimes we try to escape the previous year based on how things went. I think there's a lot that we can learn from the current year or the year that we just come out of that we sometimes can't wait to get out of. But I feel like if we're not careful, we could miss things that we can bring from the current year or the one that just passed into the new one on a positive note. Welcome to the Clear in the Air podcast with D and Q.
I'm D.
Yo, and I'm Q. I think sometimes we try to escape the previous year based on how things went. We kind of talked about that as a podcast before. Are you happy with 2022? And kind of some ways to go about it if you weren't. But I think there's a lot that we can learn from the current year or the year that we just come out of that we sometimes can't wait to get out of. But I feel like if we're not careful, we could miss things that we can bring from the current year or the one that just passed into the new one on a positive note. So kind of wanted to talk about things that we've learned in 2022 that we can take with us to 2023. So I'm going to start with you, brother, and let you just kind of talk to us and tell us some of the things that either you've gone through that have caused you to learn some things that you can take into 2023. And I want to, before you go, just encourage everybody. Sometimes life is not about the absence of mistakes, because I think there's a lot we can learn from the mistakes that we make. Not that we want to get so caught up in making mistakes, but being able to learn from them and take things from that and move on. So without further ado, talk to us about what you've learned in 2022 that you're going to bring with you that you feel are helpful in 2023.
Okay. And I think we said we was gonna do like the 3 things or something. So no matter how many, whatever you got. But I got 3. It seems like 3 has kind of been the thing we've been doing here. So I picked out the top 3 things that I either learned in 2022 or that I did in 2022 that I want to keep going to the next year. So the first one is progression. And last year, well, actually kind of during the whole pandemic, I wanted to be more progressive in certain areas in my life. And so I addressed some of those things in 2022, whether it was career, whether it was health. That was a big thing with my health. And so I kind of want to keep that momentum going into 2023. So I just want to be progressive, aggressive, however you want to call it. And I just want to keep going in all those areas. I just want to improve, increase. So I think that was the biggest thing. 2, I said respect / kindness. I do consider myself a kind, respectful man. And I want to continue that. I mean, I've always been that way, but I definitely want to continue that into the new year, because I just feel like, man, the world would be such a better place if we were just more respectful, more kind. You know what I mean? Just seems like there seems to be a lack of respect, whether it's for our elders, whether it's for women, whether it's for kids. Just seems to be a lack of respect and a lack of kindness. So, I want to continue to build on that, continue to preach that to others. And my last one is love, man. Just love. Just want to improve, keep that love going. Not being afraid to tell people you love them or I love them. I say it a lot more now. I've kind of always said it, but I say it a lot more now, maybe to more people, just to let them know, bro, I love you. Or, young lady, yo, I love you. You know what I'm saying? I care for you. I care for the things you're going through. I think one of the things we learned during this pandemic, and we coming out of it or are out of it, but life is short, man. A lot of people lost a lot of people. I didn't realize how many people had a difficult 2022. But now you're starting to see and hear things now that the new year is coming and people are saying, man, my 2022 was rough. I can't wait for 2023. And I was just kind of oblivious to it. But again, you just never know what people are going through. I know several people who within these past few weeks have lost a parent, a grandparent, you know what I mean? Like some major losses. And they ending the year on a not so joyous note, you know what I mean? And so I think that's the thing, man. Just love, bro. Between you and I tell you I love you all the time. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, those are kind of the three things I want to make sure I continue to do and improve on going into the new year.
That's word. I wanted to just kind of confirm. I think it was a text from you last week. I love you, bro. And it's just dope to hear. Like I've gotten used to saying it to my three boys, obviously my daughters. And it feels good. It feels good to be vulnerable to the people that you love. You talk about losses. I've had two within the matter of a month. So being able to, it's one thing saying it to the people who you're around. Those that you've lost, you feel like you probably didn't say it enough. And that's the tough part.
Right.
2022, when you mentioned it, yeah, a lot of people have gone through some stuff. And I've kind of really been privy to it because I meet with a group of men every Monday and we discuss things. We discuss things all the time about what they're going through. And, this is the reason why we started the podcast, because men, we have a tough time with processing and communicating how we feel.
Right.
So being able to do so with you, with those group of men, with my boys, means everything. I just had to mention that because I was boiling over as you were saying stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, yep, I've seen that. Yep. I think just with some of the things we've seen in the world, the increased shootings and mental health concerns and issues.
Right.
Yeah, man, people going through some stuff.
Right.
And even if you can say we're coming out of the pandemic, one thing we can't deny is the impact that it's had on us that doesn't just end because the pandemic is over, so to speak.
Right.
So for me, bro, I actually have three things as well. And I got patience, anxiety, and being thankful. So patience. I think because of what we just said, I think with love comes patience. If you know how to love, not to get biblical, but to provide some type of, sometimes people feel like it's hard to love. I think it's 1 Corinthians 13 really kind of breaks down love. Being able to love, bro, I think helps with the patience. So just people that I know that are going through things, sometimes, man, just having the patience to hear people vent, being patient with myself, just those types of things, man. So for me, patience is something that I think I do well with patience, but I always want to become better because I think there's a lack of that as well. We don't have patience. You see the way people drive, you just see so many different things, man. It's just like, oh man, that's that anxiety. I've learned to really live. I've learned to kind of deal with it because I've been surrounded by people who really deal with anxiety on a heavy level. Some close family members, even some friends.
Right. I was
And
wondering how you was going to address that. Yeah.
yeah, so when I say anxiety, I don't want to take anxiety into 2023,
Right.
but more or less how I'm gonna deal with it, like
Right.
how I've learned to either help people and then myself. So
Right.
it's funny because after really like a year or the majority of the year helping other people, this kind of last quarter, fourth quarter, I've dealt with a little bit of anxiety. And I'm gonna just give this and I'm gonna move on to the next thing. I got this definition of anxiety. And if this is helpful, use it. If not, hey, but I've kind of coined it as being a single or a group of emotions that falsely tries to predict or prophesy your future. Okay, so things that you don't necessarily need to be anxious or afraid of. You feel this anxiousness and this fear for whatever reason, and you may think failure, but that's not necessarily the case. It's just kind of what anxiety does. Lastly, being thankful, and I think it really kind of hit me around the Thanksgiving period. Obviously, you have that mindset because of Thanksgiving in and of itself, but it didn't leave me after Thanksgiving. It's kind of a posture that I wanted to keep, to just be thankful. Again, a lot of people went through a lot of stuff in 2022.
Right.
And I just want to be thankful that even though I went through some stuff too, I want to be thankful and recognize what I have that is working for me, not just be conscious of the things that are problems. I think sometimes we can get caught up with that and miss what life is really kind of presenting to us. And I think anxiety can be the thief to being thankful at times too. So I've kind of learned that as well. So those are my three.
Okay. Okay. Respect, brother. And what's crazy? Like, it's interesting because our three were different, but they kind of tie into each other. You know what I
I
mean?
agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. They kind of synonymous, you know.
I
So
agree.
I think that's pretty interesting. And I think that's one of the reasons why we do this. You know what I mean? Because we both have similar experiences, and then we just come together and discuss them. And yeah, yeah. And I think between us, those six things are definitely positive things that we want to take into the new year. And I think if we do, we'll start the new year on the right foot, which is always the goal. Um, last year we was talking a lot about resolutions and the vision board, and then we started with investing, which we got to get back to because we got to update that because we had I think we had our 6 month check-in, and then or was it 9? I think it was 6 months. 6 months check-in because we did the last quarter for what we want to do the last 3 months. So we definitely got to talk about that in a later episode. But yeah, man, I just think with this year, just ending the year on a positive note, and yeah, just bringing it to the new year. So that's always the goal, and now we just make sure we put it to action.
Right. And I think, like you just said, I think that's the importance, even though we're not necessarily talking about vision boards. I think that's the purpose of vision boards is to, we just mentioned 6 things, and so it's okay, well, how do we do that? Because it's not always easy. You can be aware of things, but sometimes taking taking action or taking a step towards those things could be rather hard. But I think when you have these conversations, number one, it means you're aware. Number two, I think what it does is it allows us to say, okay, what can I do to either continue in this, or as we've talked about all year, we've talked about accountability. Who
Right.
can help me to be accountable? Well, we talked about that for New Year's resolutions as well. We talked about that last year when we talked about the new year, how you can have someone to hold you accountable. We talked about that so much, man. I think that was a big time theme, honestly, for a lot of things we talked about in
Mhm.
2022.
Mhm.
You know, even when it came
Mhm.
down to, you know, your dieting or your lifestyle change,
Right.
it
Right.
was accountability. So you
Also
can't,
with the financial aid, remember?
yeah,
Because because I was
yeah,
holding you accountable with that, staying on top of you, make sure
yeah,
you stayed on top of that. So
right,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
Yep.
So I think,
Accountability was huge this year,
mhm,
and it's good because you know, if I slip or if I procrastinate, I know you're gonna be checking me. You know what I mean, and vice versa.
vice versa.
So
Mhm,
yeah.
right,
It was and I that ties into the progression because I think, you know, if folks weren't holding me accountable, or if I wasn't holding myself accountable, I probably wouldn't have, you know, progressed in those areas. So yeah,
agreed,
accountability. That was a good word, bro. Good word, and
agreed.
definitely a word that definitely, you know, was used a lot. Something that we definitely did this year. We held each other accountable and held other people accountable as well.
Very
So
true. So like we did on one of our last episodes, we gave a bonus round or a
right,
bonus thing. So
right,
I feel like this is that bonus one that we both agreed to have on our list. So as we clear the air, man, gentlemen, fellas, as you are the head of your families, head of your communities, leaders in the workplace, wherever you may be, you know, we just want to encourage you to think life's gonna be tough, but think about those things that you can learn and add on to yourself that'll help you as you move forward from season to season or from year to year. And that's what we wanted to do here. So we just want to ask you guys, what is something that you can take or are taking from 2022, bringing it into 2023 that you really feel like is going to help you? Send it in the DM, respond on YouTube here. However you do it, we'd love to hear from you guys because at the end of the day, yes, we do this amongst each other, but it's for the men to get the conversation started so
right,
we can actually process these different things and these different emotions and these trying times that we're dealing with because again
right,
people have dealt with a lot.
right,
So we just want to ask you guys to, you know, give us some feedback.
right.
Give us some feedback. So listen, make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure that you're also checking us out for the audio experience on Spotify and or Apple Podcast. We're on all the social media platforms. We'd love for you to subscribe and follow us so you can join in the conversation. That's the whole point. It's not a contest of how many subscribers you can get just to say it. It's how many men can we impact. And
Right.
essentially we're saying men, but we know that if we can impact the men will go on to impact their families, their
Right.
children, their
Right.
wives, their significant others,
Right.
other people that you're responsible for. So there's no discrimination, but we do want to start with the men because we know the men are the leaders are supposed to be, so they can take that where it needs to go.
Right.
So we out, y'all.
Peace. Happy New
Happy New
Year.
Year.